So let's go to my most awaited moment, which is number 3. Let's read the instruction. List the numbers you could use to reduce each fraction. Circle the best choice. Again, list the numbers you could use to reduce each fraction. Circle the best choice. So the first fraction is 8 twelfths. 8 twelfths. Now you need to list down here two numbers you can use to divide both 8 and 12, and then you have to circle the best choice. Now, question is, Miss Maya, where are we going to get these numbers? And these numbers do not just fall from trees. Okay, now I am going to guide you and how to find the common divisors, okay? And this is what I was telling you a while ago. My most, not my most, but one of my favorite lessons in math when I was in third grade. And it is what you call the greatest common factor, or commonly known as GCF. So that is what you will use to find the numbers you could use to reduce the fraction. Again, it's called GCF, or greatest common factor. Now, today it's all about the greatest common factor, and so first, let's talk about what GCF is. And it's pretty simple. You just have to look at the name. So, okay, let me use my favorite pointer. Okay, so greatest common factor, or what you call GCF. Just like what I've said, you just look at the name. So greatest common factor is the greatest common factors, okay, between two or more numbers. That's all it is. So you just have to find the common factors, and whichever one is the greatest, then that's your GCF. And that's all there is to that. So let's try an example, okay? Now, let us use what's in the seed work. So let us use 8 twelfths, okay? So why don't we go to the board and we'll work on 8 twelfths. Okay, so here's our first example. Now, there's a couple ways you can find your GCF, or greatest common factor. Now, the one I want to go over is what you call, or what to go over is by listing factors, or what you call the listing method. Now, the other one is what you call your prime factorization, where you can use your factor tree. But for now, we will focus on the listing factors, or the listing method. Now, why is it called the listing method? Because you have to list the factors. Now, how are we going to do it? Okay, now, so let's take the first example, 8 twelfths. Okay, so let me write it here. So we have to find the GCF of 8 and 12. So first, I'm going to list the factors of each of these numbers. So I'll start with 8. Now, we have to look for the greatest common factor of 8 and 12. And we'll start with 8. So I will go through my factor pairs. By the way, what is a factor? So factors are numbers that you multiply, okay, to get a product. Example would be, let's say, the factors of 8. So the factors of 8 would be 4 and 2. So 4 and 2 are what you call factors, okay? These are the numbers you multiply to get 8. Okay, so I hope we're clear with that. So again, I will go through my factor pairs. Okay, so this is how we do it, or in some schools, they use colon. Okay, so how do we find the factors? Then this is where you need to recall your times table. That's why I always tell you, you have to memorize your times table. So let's list our factor pairs. Now, I always start with a 1. So 1 and 8. So 1 times 8, these are your first factor pair. And then how about if you try 2? Think of a number when you multiply by 2 will give you 8. So 2 times 4, right? Now, how about 3? Is there any number you can multiply by 3 and you get 8? There's nothing. And then try 4. Try 4. Now, we already have 4 here. That means we're back to 4. So these are my factors for 8. And I am going to rewrite them down here. So 8, let's just write column. Okay, I'm going to write it down here in order. 1, 2, 4, and 8. So 1, comma, 2, comma, 4, comma, and 8. Okay, so we're done with 8. Now I've got my factors, okay? And then we'll work on 12. So I'm going to write 12 here. Okay, so let's write the factor pairs for 12. So let's start with 1. What number when you multiply by 1 will give you 12? Easy, that's 12. Now how about 2? 2, when you multiply it by 6, you'll get 12. How about 3? Is there a number you can multiply by 3 and you get 12? Yes, it's 4. And then how about 4? So we're back to 4. Now, when you're back to a number that's already in your factor pair, then that signals something. That means you can write or rewrite your factors down here in order. So you write 12. And what are your factors? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. So you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Very nice, beautiful. And then the name says greatest common factors. Common factors. Before you look for the greatest, you look for the common first. Common means it's the same in both numbers, okay? So we have 1, we have 2, okay? And we have 1, 2, and 4, okay? So we are going back to our seat work. 1, 2, and 4. Okay, just hold on. I'm going to take you back there. Okay, we're back here on page 239. So we are going to write the factors here, 8 and 12. Okay, so our common factors are 2 and 4. Okay, now you might begin to wonder why I did not include 1. Okay, now remember that these factors are the numbers we will use to reduce 8 and 12. Now 1 is common, all right, but if you use 1 to divide 8 and 12, then no reducing would actually take place. If you divide 8 and 12 by 1, you are going to end up with the same number, right? The same fraction. So we will start with the common factor after 1, and based on what we did, okay, our common factor was 2 and 4. Now the question is, which is the best choice? So between the 2 and 4, the greatest common factor is 4. So that is what we are going to circle. Okay, now let's work on 9 and 18. Okay, so let me take you back to the board. Okay, so we're back here. So we have to find out the greatest common factor of 9 and 18. So let me put 9 here and let me write 18 here. So let's have our factor pairs. So again, I would always start with 1. Okay, 1 times 9 will give you 9. How about 2? Okay. Oh, nothing, because 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 7 is 14. How about 3? Okay, so yes, we have a factor pair. 3 times 3 is 9. And then nothing with 4, okay, because 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12. Nothing with 5, okay? So I think we're good. So I'll write down here all the factors of 9 in order. So 1, 3. Now in this case, since you have two threes, you write it only once or one time. So you write 1, 3, and 9. Okay, next one. Let's work on 18. Okay, so 1 times 18. How about 2? Usually, when your number is an even number, you can always use 2 as a factor. Okay, 2 multiply it by 9 is 18. Okay, how about 3? Okay, 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 6, okay, is 18. Very good. Okay, how about 4? 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. No. 5? No. 6? Okay, you're back to 6. So that means you can stop. So it's time to list down our factors here in order. And that means 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18. So 1, 2, 3, 6. Wow, it's a lot. 9, and 18. So now you understand why this is called a listing method, because we are listing factors. Okay, so now we have the factors. It's time to find the common factors. So we have 3. Okay, of course, we start with 1. Okay, and then we don't have 2, so we have 3. And then we don't have 6 here, and we have 9. So our common factors are 1, 3, and 9. There's no 18 here in 9, okay? But we are going to write only 3 and 9. Because remember, if we use 1, if we use 1 to divide our fraction 9/18, then we're going to end up with the same fraction. No reducing will actually take place. So 3 and 9. So in the seat work, we are going to write 3 and 9. Now, which is the greatest common factor? Okay, greatest means the biggest or the largest number. So between 3 and 9, the greatest common factor would be 9. So you circle 9, okay? You think you're ready to try C and D? Okay, let's go back to our seat work. Okay, so for number 4, okay, reduce to lowest terms. How are you going to reduce to lowest term? Then you have to find your greatest common factor or your GCF. But this time, you don't have to like list down your common factors here. You just have to go straight to dividing your 8/12s using your common factor. Okay? And let's go to 240. Okay, so we're on page 240. For number 5, you just have to follow the signs. You have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and multiplication. So number 6, okay, so you have to read each story problem. You have 2 story problems here. And we do the usual. You determine the question or the information given, solve the problem in the workspace, write your answer, including label. Now, the label is very important. And you have to show me your work here in the workspace provided. Okay. And then number 7, solve the equations. Remember that when you're solving equations with parentheses, you have to do the numbers inside the parentheses first. Do both A and B. And then number 8, solve the measurement equation. Please don't take the shortcut. please show your work. Number 9, set the clock for 1/2 hour before 7:10. Again, set the clock for 1/2 hour before 7:10 and write the time here. So thank you so much. I had a great time with you once again. And I know that a lot of you are exempted in Thursday seat work. So I'll see you on Sunday for another new concept in math. God bless you and let the peace of Christ reign in your hearts. Bye.